I'm starting with a smirk on my face for a multitude of reasons. One, I'm very frustrated with my wife right now, in a good way, because I'm trying to talk about Echoes of Silence for Additional Thoughts, which is this dark, moody, toxic, abusive relationship album to wrap up this whole trilogy of an incredible train wreck. And she's over here, I don't know how the hell it started, but she's over here ranting about Elf on a Shelf and how much we hate Elf on a Shelf. And like the whole conversation we just had over the last 2 or 3 minutes, I should have had the camera, I should have turned it on. It was funny and silly and ridiculous. And so now I'm like totally removed from the dark, moody place I wanted to be in when I was going to talk about this album.
I'm going to tell you you're ugly?
Oh, that was the other thing. She called me Goblin Face.
No.
And then she said she was lying.
That was the boy.
Oh, that was my son.
I said that your nose is cute.
She said my nose was cute, which is obviously a lie. And then she said, oh, no, I was lying. I was actually looking at your eyes instead. And I made a goblin face like that. So as you can see, this is all very appropriate for the beginning of an Additional Thoughts video. I'm just going to leave all this shit in since we missed the good stuff already. They'll get like a sneak peek of what it's like to live in this damn house. Okay. Additional thoughts for real this time. Not even starting over. You have to stop talking.
I'm helping you.
He's definitely helping. Okay. Okay. Well, during the reaction, so I don't know how much of this for the actual album I'm going to talk about. We'll see where it goes. My brain's been all over the place this last week or so, 10 days, and I'll get into that in a bit. But during the reaction, I remember, I think it was during maybe Initiation, which is just great. It's like the bottom of the pit for this 3-album run, this story, right? His voice is all distorted, and it's just like really dark, really abusive, very toxic, just awful song, which is so incredible. And I think it was during that track that I mentioned the 9 Inch Nails album, The Downward Spiral. And I got all excited because I've heard that album so many times, and that's on its own ride. And I mentioned Pink Floyd's The Wall and how I can't really experience that one because I'm so familiar with it. It's just kind of matter of fact rather than an experience of listening to an album and going on a ride. Although I do still get into it a little bit, but not like this. This whole trilogy, and Echoes of Silence specifically, is just great. And I really do love Echoes of Silence. But with Echoes of Silence and this kind of association that I found with Downward Spiral, the final song is Hurt. Very popular, iconic 9 Inch Nails song. And the chorus, and you could have it all, my empire of dirt, I will let you down, I will make you hurt. And that popped up, it's not The Fall. Maybe it was Initiation, I can't remember. But there's a line in this album, you want my heart, baby, you can have it all. And the way he says it, what he's talking about is like, you want this evil, awful thing? Fine, here it is. Here's all of it, And it just reminded me a little bit of that chorus from Hurt. You can have it all, my empire of dirt. And it's just fun because I've always loved that album. And so now, 20-something years later, to essentially discover like a pop parallel universe of that is just, it's great. I get so excited, and then I laugh at myself because what the fuck, like, why am I so excited over this? Because this, I mean, really, objectively, what this album is about is pretty not great, right? It's kind of awful. But it's done so well. And I think that's what I enjoy about this album is it commits to its story fully. It's not half-assing it. It's not like making a little offshoot for a radio-friendly song and then trying to drop back into the theme. No, it's just its own ride from beginning to end. And this is why I harp so much on other genres, like trap specifically, about lyrics. And when everyone on every album is kind of saying the same fucking thing. And it's annoying to me because there's just this massive missed opportunity. Now, could you do something like this in trap? I don't know. This is not easy to do, okay? And so I'm not trying to knock other genres or other albums that don't really like dig into this with all, all hands and all feet. But man, anytime I encounter an album where they just, from beginning to end, they take you on this ride, I am reminded, God, how much it matters, how much it improves the experience, at least for me. Because I love it. I love it. Montreal, XO, The Host. I love The Host. I wish it was its individual track. I would listen to that last like 3 minutes over and over again. I love how dark it is. It's just fantastic. And then Echoes of Silence, the final song. I didn't listen to whatever the bonus one, Till Dawn, I think. I listened to it the one time on the reaction and then shunned it. I was like, no. Like I said at the end of the reaction, nope. That's not the ending. That's not how. Like, no, the ending of this trilogy for me is Echoes of Silence, and I was like spam listening to this song for a while because Thanksgiving was good. Holidays. I hope everyone had an enjoyable holiday if you got to do something with it. And then after that, we went out to the desert, Mojave Desert. We went dirt biking. My dad was out there. My son's riding. We're riding and stuff. And being in the Mojave Desert for a couple of days, essentially, I was offline for 3 days. So no internet, so no Reddit, no Twitter, no YouTube comments, no nothing. No news feed about the shit that's happening in Gaza, no news feed about how stupid our fucking politicians are and all the garbage that they're like. It was just a total break from that. And because we were dirt biking, I bought my bike about almost 2 years ago now. And I've been getting it dialed in, and I took a break from motocross for well over 10 years, and so feeling rusty and feeling older and slower and lots of different elements. But since I've been riding ever since getting the bike, I'm loosening up, getting the bike dialed in, getting myself dialed in, such that this last weekend out in Mojave, I felt good. Like I finally felt just like I was riding. I wasn't worried about going too fast. I wasn't worried about the bike feeling weird. I wasn't in my head about riding. I was just riding. And I noticed that I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't thinking about, just anything. So I had this double whammy of total detachment from the internet for 3 days. And then on top of that, going out and getting so absorbed in this physical activity, which is obviously healthy and stuff, but just essentially the whole world was gone. And it was so fucking relaxing. It was so like relieving. And I almost went into this inverse of a midlife crisis. Of course, the midlife crisis being, oh my God, I'm in my 40s and I've missed out on my youth and I've got to go out and party and do all the... It was almost the opposite of, fuck, I got to do this shit for 40 more years. Which is dark, not great, but the idea being, and to tie it back into Echoes of Silence, so this isn't just like this completely off the wall tangent, I love the thrill. The only thing that makes me feel real. Don't leave my little life. Don't leave my little lie. And I was wrestling with this idea of, what's my own little lie? What do I do that I drag in this toxic, not healthy, possibly abusive crap into my own brain, into my own life, much like the character in the album, because of my own little lie of feeling something. Or what am I actually feeling? There's lots of things I try and pay attention to in terms of like the news and maybe politics and social movements and whatever, because I like the idea of my knowing what's going on. I want to be aware of it. I want to be able to understand it so I can make decisions that are intelligent. But is that really true? Is that true if I watch 30 to 45 minutes of YouTube a day that's focusing on politics and all I'm really seeing are the same corporate media outlets and the same, whatever you want to call them, I guess, podcasters with the same points of view, giving me the same angle on everything? Am I really making myself more aware? Am I really making myself knowledgeable on what's actually happening? Like, do I have any idea what Congress is doing because of it? No, I don't. It's kind of a lie. And it's a lie I tell myself, essentially to make myself feel better, to make it feel like I have control of what might happen in the future because I can plan accordingly, but it's all bullshit. So, none of that really relates to the album specifically, right? I'm really way off on this kind of orbital tangent, but I share that because one of the things I love about music, and one of the things I'm trying to do with this channel, is I don't really want to go into a review atmosphere where I tell you why it's good or why it's bad. I just like having an experience. And music is this amazing, magical thing where sometimes you can put on an album or a song or whatever just at that right time in your life, and it fucking hits. And it's this whole experience. It's not something you could critique or digest or this was good, but this was bad, and blah, blah. Like, there's something magical about that. And it's just kind of funny how Echoes of Silence, this album, and this whole trilogy and how it's played out and the story and the theme, while being its own clear thing, I said at the end on the reaction, Echoes of Silence, when that character gets into that line, I love the thrill, it's the only thing that makes me feel real. Essentially said, this is like a philosophical debate. And it kind of turned into that for me in my own life at that point in time. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What decisions am I making? Why am I subjecting myself to this stuff? And for what? To feel this, but is that actually even real? So it was fun to have this album play out in front of me while I experienced it in my own life, And if anybody who might be concerned, I'm feeling much better now. Sometimes in life it's almost like you come up for air without realizing you were ever underwater. And it's not like my life is full of stress or worry or concern, but the big part with, especially being out in the desert for 3 days, it made me realize just how much noise there is in just everything that we do online. It's fucking noise. It's all this shit just being thrown at us all the time. And so detaching from that and getting a clean break from that was like, wow. It was nice. And so it made me realize, okay, there's some decisions I need to make in my life in terms of just what I do that are basically just habits. I come home, I turn on my computer, I fuck around, whatever. But it's like, why? What am I getting from it? Anyway, long tangent. I'm now officially repeating myself. Great album. Great trilogy. I forget the name of the next one. I want to say Star Lord. I think it's Star Boy.
Stars of the Lid.
Not Stars of the Lid. That's an ambient group. Excellent ambient group. Ambient excellence. Absolutely. Anyway, I'm going to keep going through the weekend. Absolutely. I did see a comment. Somebody was like, this isn't even hip hop. Yeah, well, sure. Okay. I like it. Some people have said the next one is like their favorite Weeknd album. I want to get into some of the other ones. So I remember Dawn FM was pretty big. And what is it, like after midnight? I don't know. But really glad I sat down with Echoes of Silence shortly after Thursday. It was a while since House of Balloons, so it was nice to keep it close to the other one and continue the story and have the ride. And God, for it to pay off with Echoes of Silence, that song to end the trilogy is perfect. It's so good. Yeah. And if you've never listened to The Downward Spiral by Nine Inch Nails, it's a very, very different sound. So if you like this, you probably won't like The Downward Spiral, but it's worth listening to because it is just dark and aggressive and violent and toxic. And what's interesting with that album is, Echoes of Silence, he kind of gets out. He basically, in my opinion, with the closing song, the fading out, the no, that's him walking away from her, which is how I like it to end. Whereas Hurt, the ending for Downward Spiral, is as dark as it gets. It's a pretty wild comparison. And there's some similarities that exist. They're not as noticeable or as explicit in Downward Spiral. Echoes of Silence does a great job of just constantly keeping these two characters interact with each other. Downward Spiral is a little bit more personal. But listen to Downward Spiral. Just give it a listen. Maybe you won't like it. It's loud. It's industrial. Some of the songs are not. Some of them are actually incredibly elegant. But it's a cool ride. Okay, 15 minutes. I don't remember what I said. Kind of got off into the weeds. But you know what? It's okay. Because sometimes life goes off into the weeds. Sometimes you got to wander around in the weeds a little bit, and then you find your path again, and you go, oh, okay. I'm gonna go this way a little more instead of that way a little bit more. All right, y'all. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow for an album of